Hello everybody and welcome to a new video from the FPL Wire. Today I'm going to be talking about my latest draft. And this is after all the preseason games on Saturday. Timestamping this is on the Sunday morning, 11th of August, before the last day of preseason games on the Sunday. And I'll be talking about my latest draft. And the headline is Dominic Solanke has moved to Spurs and has also made his way into my Game Week 1 draft. Yes, I think he's going to feature in my draft. And lots to cover on this video. I'll be taking you through my picks, what the permutations and combinations are for me at the moment, what I'm looking at potential picks, what could change in the last week, and what picks I'm fairly confident or sure of at the moment. Famous last words, anything can happen in the last week, but let's see where my thoughts are at the moment. Before we get into that, as you see, we'll be seeing you showing you some data, tables, etc., some quotes. Everything is from Fantasy Football Scout. They have a mobile application now, which makes it really easy to access all the beautiful data, their stats bomb data as well. So yeah, if you want to sign up, they have a 40% off. They have an app now. There's a link in the description below. Click on that link because that helps us too, since we're affiliates. And let's get into the thing of things. Now, first things first, why is Solanke in? Spurs have made a big move for Dom Solanke. And Ange was actually asked yesterday whether he thinks Kulusevski is going to be playing as the sort of center forward again, because he's playing as a center forward in preseason. And this is what he said: no, I don't think so. We'll use Kulusevski there again. The good thing about Deki is that he can play attacking midfield and out wide. I think the reason why we signed Dom, and hopefully Richie should be ready as well, is that we want to have a player through that area who's a bit accustomed to that role. Deki has done a great job for us, but I think his strengths and attributes are more in the attacking midfield or the wide role. I think he's really developing, has had a really strong preseason for us. It gives us some more flexibility and potency through the midfield when he's playing because he can get into those areas. Now, this is the most important quote for Solanke, where an Ange was asking if Solanke would feature in Game Week 1, whether he's going to be ready to start. And said, yeah, I don't see any reason why he shouldn't be. He's playing most of the preseasons. He had a slight knock in the last game Bournemouth played, but of course we'll have a look at him during the week. But I think that considering he's done most of preseason, I see no reason why he wasn't going to be available. Now that's all the confirmation bias you need when it comes to a player like Dom Solanke. I mean, we're talking about potentially a nailed on Spurs striker at center forward. Like, I feel like it's too much of an FPL gift to not accept. And I owned Richarlison when he was playing center forward last season, and he gave me a goal a game. I feel like Spurs are set up in a way where they primarily just create a high volume of chances for their striker. And I think Solanke is clearly first choice. I think they spent 60 odd million on Dom Solanke. I don't see this changing. There's plenty more where Ange actually talks about Solanke's attributes, where he says that we identified him because he has the attributes we're looking for in terms of that position. He gives us some things which we've been probably missing in the last 12 months, particularly when Richie was out last year. When Richie played, he was very effective for us, but it was quite evident when it was quite evident when he was out that we didn't really have a player who can make the impact that I know Dom can in the final third, and with just his general play. So I think he'll be a good fit for us, and I think he's going to be a good fit for my FPL team. I mean, Spurs have a cracking start to the season too. If you look at the fixture ticker here, they start their games against Leicester away and Everton at home. Yes, it's tough after that, where they've got Newcastle away and Arsenal at home, but Spurs are an attacking minded team. So whereas I'm still debating whether I should have Poro in my team, I don't mind a nailed on Spurs center forward. And Leicester at the moment are a mess. They conceded 3 goals yesterday. They conceded 17 shots in the preseason game. Cooper's not looking good. They've had a terrible preseason in general. So yeah, I think I'm going to be starting with Dom Solanke in my team. I think there's no reason to. And I think it's because of what Decky mentioned. I was talking to Baker, who's a Spurs fan. He's like, Kulu should move to right because Brennan Johnson hasn't been that great on the right. So Kulu moves on the right. Son plays on the left, and Dolo Solanke is likely going to be starting center forward. That's how we see Spurs shaping up. All right. I also want to talk about the Fulham attack because a player or two have found their way into my current draft at the moment. Now, this is from their preseason game, not yesterday, but the last preseason game, which was ESR's Emil Smith Rowe's first preseason game. Now, if you see the image on top, Anthony Robinson has been incredibly attacking as a 4.5 million wing back. He's almost underlapping and overlapping Iwobi on all occasions. Iwobi has been creatively really good. And Robinson is like an attacker. And you see the first goal that ESR scored, Robinson, if you see here, has made his way just into the byline, put in a cross for ESR, who was available in the center of the box, and he headed the goal inside the box. And this sort of situation arrived in the second half as a little later as well, where you see Robinson's position here, so close to goal, again creating a chance, which he gave to ESR again, who was in the center of the box. He was a box crasher, and ESR missed that chance. So yeah, I think I'm very interested in Robinson as well as ESR. I'm very interested in the 5.5 million midfield bracket as well, which we're going to be talking about on the midfield pod that we do tomorrow. But Fulham's fixtures are great to start with if you think about it. Look at them. United away. We did fairly well in the Community Shield. We conceded only 8 shots. I'm a United fan in case you don't already know. But after that, look at the next 4 for Fulham. They got Leicester at home, Ipswich away, West Ham at home, Newcastle at home, and then Forest away. So Fulham generally have a great start to the season. And actually, if you think about it, game week 2 to game week 4, I don't have problems playing Anthony Robinson in any of those games. And because he's that attacking, he's fine if you are stretched to play him in the first game against United away. He's 4.5 million. I know Fulham haven't looked that defensively great, etc. as well. But I see him as sort of like an attacking wing back compared to a Konsa, who might have better clean sheet odds given their fixtures. But Konsa just doesn't offer anything in attack. That's my problem. And ESR as well, man. He's playing in that sort of advanced number 10 role. He's sort of like a box crasher. We don't have much data on him. And we'll discuss him and the other 5.5 million midfield bracket because I'm interested in Minter. Minter's looked mint. I'm interested in Kamada. All of these guys are really good picks in the 5.5 million options. That's why in general, I don't mind starting with one 5.5 million midfielder. It could be any of the 3 names that I mentioned. But that bracket is stacked, I reckon. And I think 1 or 2 picks from that bracket are definitely going to emerge. So we'll talk about that later when I'm taking you through my draft. Now, just wanted to take you guys through some of the data. This is, I think, second of the season minutes per XGI. Guardiola is currently in my draft. Trent was right up there as well. So I've been thinking about these 2 players whose minutes for XGI was really, really good. Paul was right up there as well for 24.7. When I'm talking about the defense, you guys will know what my dilemma is. But yeah, Munoz, as you guys saw on the thumbnail, I really wanted to have Dom Solanke on my thumbnail because I think that's a perfect pick. But unfortunately, my designer wasn't available today, and I decided to do this video today. I've been doing a lot of content. I did a 25-minute video analyzing big hitters and their performance against the opposition of different caliber, which you should check out. We've already done the best forward pod, which you should check out. We've already done the best defender pod, which you should check out. I have done an excellent, probably for me, the part of the preseason, the conversation that I did with Josh from the Anfield Rap. He contextualizes Liverpool like nobody else has for me. Check that out. And if you're just starting off watching content, then Zoff and Pras did a Wildcard Windows podcast as well, which you should check out. Right. This is something I wanted to highlight, which is telling me that Munoz, this is Glasner era. So 13 games that Glasner sort of started. He was 4th for XG amongst all defenders. Guardiola was right up there as well, 1.91. And he was 2nd for penalty touches. Guardiola was up there as well, 34. So both of them are sort of very attacking. That said, Guardiola wasn't really attacking in a Community Shield game against United. So I am wondering whether I should have Guardiola in my team or whether I should have Porro. But yeah, given those things that I mentioned, this is my current defense at the moment. I've got Henderson as my keeper. I think he's the best 4.5 keeper out there. There's nobody else that I really fancy. If Palace do get Ramsdale though, then I'm wondering who to get. It'll probably be Flecken. Then maybe he's the one that I'll think about. If or Sells. He looks like he's the starting keeper at Nottingham Forest, so we'll see what happens in that position. Guardiola is in there. He's got a poor game week 1 fixture. That's at Chelsea. Are taking a while to get into gear. I've got Munoz, who I mentioned previously and on many occasions. I showed you guys the data. He's a forward. He's double OOP. I feel like people's interest in Munoz has dwindled a little in the last week or 2. I don't mind that because he's nailed on in my draft, I reckon. I really, really rate him. I rate that defense. I rate that midfield. Even if Mark Guehi goes, most of Glasner's underlying data was when Guehi was injured anyway. I think he was available only in the last 2 or 3 games. And outside of that, it was Anderson and Richards, I reckon. And then they have one more defender who they bought, who's really good as well. So, and I like that midfield. They've got Wharton and Lerma, who's going to be playing in midfield. And I rate the manager. So my defense is kind of light outside of these 3 picks because I've got For my third, fourth, and fifth defender, at the moment, I've got Barco, Robinson, and Johnson. Now, I already spoke to you guys. This is the rotation that I have for my defense at the moment. Uh, City play almost every game, in my opinion. Guardiola plays Chelsea away, Ipswich at home, West Ham away, Brentford at home, Arsenal at home. Doesn't matter. He's a perma play because he's capable of scoring on both sides of the pitch. That said, he wasn't very far advanced yesterday, but it was encouraging that he still played the left back role. And if Ake and Diaz start at the center of as centre backs, or Stone starts as centre backs, I don't mind Guardiola pushing further up the field. There is upside there, and it's I don't mind having 6 million there parked, because if Trent emerges as a no-brainer pick and we really need him, Guardiola to Trent shouldn't be that difficult to do because it's a 6 million to a 7 million jump. I've got Crystal Palace's Munoz in there. He's playing Brentford away, West Ham at home, Chelsea away, Leicester home, United at home. I've been on this pick. He's on my thumb. It's very likely I start with him game week 1. I already spoke to you guys about Robinson, where outside of United away game week 1, the next 4 fixtures are pretty decent. Leicester at home, Ipswich away, West Ham at home, Newcastle at home. I don't mind playing him given how attacking he is. And in case, I need an alternate option, I've got sorry, I don't know if it's Brennan Johnson, it's some other, Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson from Ipswich, who's playing as a wing back in the last friendly. So I was talking to FPL Rouser, who we did the Ipswich pod with. He mentioned that Johnson might be used as a wing back in tougher games. He's very attacking, and as a centre back, that stays back because Leif Davis does more of the attacking from the other side. So he's going to be playing right back, irrespective. And it looks like it's his position about to Anzebi. So he's useless in the first 2 games, but he could be useful game week 3, 4, 5 if I need backup options, especially because Baku, who I'm playing ahead of Robinson in game week 1, at the moment, Brighton are in the market. They've been linked with wingback for that left hand side. So we don't know how long that Baku love fest is going to last. And if it doesn't, I probably might just get Howard Bellis instead of him. So I'm fairly sure I go with either Guard or Porro. I reckon Munoz is locked in my defense. Robinson, I think, is locked in my defense. If I go Guard down to Porro, then I get another 4.5 million defender, probably Konsa, just to add stability in my defense and just have more optionality in my defense, because this is stretching it thin at the moment. Especially Bako looks like he isn't going to be a pick long term. That's my issue at the moment. Ipswich have nice backup options game week 3, 4, and 5. Where they have Fulham at home, Brentford away, Southampton away. So we'll see about that. I'm thinking about that switch, but I think I'll probably stick with God, if I'm being perfectly honest. And the thing about Porro that I don't like, I'll go to the fixture ticker. Yes, he's had a great start to the season, but I spoke to you. I don't mind Spurs' fixtures at the start of the season from an attacking point of view, but from a defensive point of view, Spurs conceded a lot of shots again. They are a problem on set pieces. First 2 fixtures are Leicester away and Everton at home, but then they've got Newcastle and Arsenal. Let's face it, I don't expect clean sheets from Spurs in those 2 games. I do want to say though that when Spurs have had all their starting defenders fit, they aren't as bad a defense as they have been generally. And at the moment, Van de Ven, Udogi, Porro, and Romero are fit to start the season. So I'm tempted to do that Porro move. It helps me with a little more money to have another 4.5 million solid defensive option instead of a 4.0 option. And I spoke about Konsa. Konsa works because he's got West Ham away, Arsenal at home in the first 2 games, which is slightly difficult. After that, fixtures are great. Leicester away, Everton at home, Wolves at home, Ipswich. So yeah, that's the thinking with Konsa. Right, let's move to my attack and my full team reveal. Okay, this wasn't the image. Fail, Pranil, fail. There you go. That's my current draft at the moment. I have got 8 attackers. I already spoken to you guys about my defense. My attackers at the moment, I already spoke to you about Dom Solanke. Up front, I've got Haaland, Isak, and Solanke. And in midfield, I've got Nkunku, Salah, Gordon, Rogers, and ESR. So I've got 8 attackers. I feel like it's an extra roll of the dice where, I'm going with a 5.5 million bracket ESR. It couldn't work. And it might not work, and it's just good to have an option where I don't need to force myself into early transfers in case something happens, in case an injury happens. Where Roger looks really good and likely to start the season, in that role behind Watkins as sort of like the second striker. And there's a world in which Rogers starts the season on fire and he's 4.34, 5.3, 5.4 million by the time game week 4 or 5 comes around. And I showed to you guys Aston Villa's fixtures as well. They're really good outside of the first two. Leicester away, Everton at home, Wolves at home, is switch away. So if Rogers sticks in that Aston Villa team, he looks like a really, really good pick. Yeah, I'm mindful that he could fall in price to, let's say, if he has a dud performance or two. But I like having that eighth attacker over having a second 4.5 million defender because I feel like the upside, the ceiling is there. If and the thing is, the 4.5 million midfield options, there aren't too many. It's Harry Winks. There's that Everton guy who's playing in midfield. There's Sangare from Forest who's playing in midfield. Rogers is much better. I feel like the gap between Winks and Rogers is much greater than the gap between a Barco or a 4.0 Ipswich defender and a 4.5 million Aston Villa defender, if you know what I mean. So that's a decision that I have that I'm on the edge for towards the end of the season. Gordon looked great. Newcastle in general look great to start the season. Isak and Gordon to start the season. Southampton at home. Really good game week 1 fixture. And really good fixtures in general. I mean, look at the fixtures for Newcastle. Southampton at home. Bournemouth away. Spurs at home. Wolves away. Fulham away. I think they're great, great fixtures for attackers, which is why I've got both of them. Slight doubt whether Gordon starts, but I think he starts. He got 45 minutes. I expect it to be Gordon on the left and Murphy on the right. Murphy's another interesting 5.5 million pick, which is why I just want to have a midfielder in the 5.5 million midfield bracket. At the moment, I'm starting with ESL. We spoke about him. But on my mind, there's Minter, who's looked incredible. His output under Fabergé was immensely good. He could be the breakout pick this season. We're going to cover him in depth. The only thing with Brighton is their first 3 fixtures are a little dicey. They've got Everton away, United home, Arsenal away. After that, they've got good fixtures. So I'm like, should I wait for Minter? That said, Pedro Welbs, who are going to play in the center of the park, flanked by Bitoma and Minter. That's just an incredible attack. So I'm tempted by Minter. We'll discuss it with the boys tomorrow. Kamada, because Eze has made his way out of my team, and I think there might be a move to another bigger club there. There's too much noise around him switching to maybe a City or something of that sort. That's why I'm a little iffy on Eze at the moment. He's got Brentford away, West Ham at home, Chelsea away, Leicester at home, United at home. I want a Palace attacker, so maybe Kamada finds his way into my team for that 5.5 million midfield position instead of ESR. But ESR has great fixtures too. I think I'm fairly locked in on Mo Salah. If Mo Salah drops a stinker in the preseason friendly today, I might be tempted to go down and spread the cash around, but I really don't want to because I think it offers me flexibility. Nkunku as a 6.5 million attack in midfield has looked very solid. Isak is a no-brainer. Dom, Solanke already spoke about. Haaland, I'm glad that Haaland didn't do much yesterday because I feel like that's like it might keep his ownership below 50%. And I've spoken to you guys about it. I think Haaland is the surest thing we have. I did the big hitter analysis video yesterday. He actually had 35 plus goals in the first season, and he underperformed his XG for the first time last year. And he generally doesn't underperform his XG. So I think he's in for a 30 plus season. I like the fact that both Salah and Haaland have had full preseasons, which is why I'm going to start with them. I am tempted though by Bruno Fernandes. I mentioned it that Bruno Fernandes might be playing. United have tweaked the formation and they're playing a 4-2-4, where whoever plays alongside Xerxes or Sancho, who are going to be playing the false 9, is going to be very far up the pitch. So I expect Bruno to be further up the pitch than he is usually. I expect his output to increase this season. So I am monitoring Bruno Fernandes very closely. Let's see what Salah does. And if I sort of downgrade that position and spread the funds around, I'm tempted and interested in Bruno Fernandes. Who are the other sort of players that are in my mind at the moment? Amongst the strikers, outside of the 3 that I picked, obviously still I'm wondering whether I need to go down to Muniz, and because he's got good fixtures to start the season. United away, Leicester home, Ipswich away, West Ham at home, Newcastle at home. But I like having, excuse me, sorry. I like having Dom Solanke out there because he's great first 2 fixtures. If at all I want to move to Watkins around the game week 3 mark, where he's got Leicester away, Everton home, Wolves at home, it's easier to move from Solanke compared to moving from, Muniz, for example. So, and even though there's a world in which I want to switch Isak or Haaland as well to Watkins, but we need to be thinking about Watkins gaming 3-4-5 because look at those fixtures gaming 3-4-5. Leicester away, Everton at home, Wolves at home. That's why I like having Haaland Salah and a 6 million defender in there because I like having expensive players as my first pick because it's easier to sell them and then spread the money around rather than to buy them. I hope you guys understand that logic. Who else is floating around in my squad? I thought about Diego Jota. I think he's going to get the first 2 game weeks. He's in my mind at the moment, especially if I downgrade Salah. Uh, yes, in the 4.5 million defense bracket, Lewis Hall has been incredibly advanced playing for Newcastle. So that's one pick I'm thinking about. Uh, Arsenal, yes. Look at Arsenal's first 4 fixtures. I think they are absolutely amazing from an attacking point of view, where I've got Wolves at home, Aston Villa away, Brighton at home, Spurs away. I think there are 4 great fixtures from an attacking point of view. So if I downgrade Salah, I go down from Salah to Saka 2 million, spend that money in further shoring up my defense a little, further shoring up my attack a little. Maybe that's an option for me. So these are the sort of things that are wavering in my head. There's a world in which I maybe need to, if Ange tells us that Dom doesn't look like a player that's probably going to be starting the season, etc. I don't expect that to happen. I mean, Kai has great fixtures, game week 1 to 4. Wolves at home, Aston Villa away, Brighton at home, Spurs away. So these are the sort of the picks that I'm sort of flirting around, thinking about that Salah to Saka downgrade. We'll see. We'll see. We'll discuss that. I may be doing one last final draft, but at least you guys know where my thinking is at the moment. I'm feeling really comfortable with my strike force, but at midfield, it feels a little light. But Salah's gotten and Kuku are pretty solid, and then you've got at least one of Rogers and a 5.5 million midfielder to play every week anyway. Let me know whether you think I should have Rogers as my 8th attacker, or whether I should go wings and then have an extra 4.5 million defender. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your suggestions. I'm looking forward to your comments below. We've been doing a lot of content. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. We'll be with you. All 3 of us will be with you tomorrow for the defender pod. Sorry, not for the defender pod. For the midfielder pod. That's it. I think I'm exhausted. Have a happy weekend. Happy scouting. And yeah, man, FPL's here.